And I want to irritate all the right people, all the people that we all find uniquely irritating. And it's this permanently offended, snowflakey, cancel culture mob who descend like a pack of hornets on anything they can get themselves into, trying to suppress everyone's right to an opinion, trying to tell us all how to think, how to act, how to laugh, what to find funny, what statues to revere, what parts of history are acceptable, what parts aren't.
Piers Morgan, one of the loudest voices in today's culture wars, and he's not pulling any punches. Love him or hate him, you can't deny he's a wrecking ball swinging straight at woke culture, and it's hard not to be impressed by the impact. He dives headfirst into the topics most people tiptoe around: gender debates, Hollywood hypocrisy, and the madness of cancel culture, taking them on with a no-breaks, full-throttle style that refuses to flinch.
Hollywood loves nothing more than telling the rest of us how we should live and how we should think. It's heavy on the preach, light on the practice. This week's stars and supermodels flew in on private jets, taking a very well-earned break from hectoring us about their carbon footprint. Attention to detail for the Met Gala in New York, and what is now routinely a nauseating annual romp of tone-deaf extravagance became a glistening exhibition of Hollywood hypocrisy.
And let's be real, we all know
exactly who Piers is trying to provoke: the permanently offended mob. You know the type. Always outraged, always ready to cancel anyone who dares step outside their approved script. They swoop in like hornets, policing speech, dictating what we can laugh at, and even deciding which parts of history we're allowed to respect. But here's what sets Piers apart: he simply doesn't care. He's not afraid of being hated, and cancellation isn't a threat to him. It's practically a badge of honor. Every time he pushes back, he's calling out the madness with a bluntness you rarely see anymore in entertainment or media. Before we continue, quick favor: if you're enjoying this, hit that like button and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing, and while it's free for you, it makes a huge difference for us. Done. Perfect. Thank you for the support. Now, back to it. Take his infamous take on gender identity in sports. It was vintage Piers. He dropped a question so simple it was almost comedic. Could Erling Haaland, one of the most dominant male soccer players on the planet, just declare himself a woman and start tearing up women's leagues? At 6 feet 4 inches, Haaland is a goal-scoring machine. The very idea is absurd. But according to woke logic, if Haaland says he's a woman, then who says
I now identify as a woman, play in the Norwegian national women's team.
He is massive.
He's the best striker in the world. He's 6'4".
Yeah.
He's a massive beast. He scores goals every 10 seconds in the men's game. Are you
if
happy?
If you suddenly decided to become trans, to go through all of the horror.
Actually, you don't have to go through anything.
Just self-ID.
No, you go through nothing.
He self-identifies as trans, deals with all of the pushback on social media, the death threats, everything that he's going to get as a result of that, and then says, I want to become a woman, I want to identify as a woman. Then, you know, the team would be able to legitimately make a decision as to whether or not that was allowed.
It's the perfect example of how the woke crowd insists that identity alone trumps reality. No questions asked. Piers shredded that logic. He made it clear that letting biological men compete in women's sports doesn't just bend the rules, it obliterates them. It wipes out decades of hard-fought progress in women's athletics. And the kicker: this so-called inclusivity isn't fairness at all. It's a direct attack on fair competition.
Just endorsed Erling Haaland playing women's football, which of course would destroy women's football. Congratulations. Women's rights nil.
I didn't.
But look.
I didn't know who Erling Haaland is. I didn't know
leave it there.
Power to destroy women's football.
Biological matters, right?
Yeah.
And men, born as men, shouldn't be playing women's sport. Rapino, free speech.
Thomas shattered records left and right, leaving female athletes outraged as they suddenly found themselves competing against someone with a massive biological advantage. Let's be honest, this isn't inclusivity, it's absurdity. And Piers said what so many people were thinking but were too afraid to say out loud.
On this period of the existence of planet Earth, and think, what the hell were we doing? How was this insanity being allowed to happen? And it'll probably culminate in a 6'6" transgender athlete winning the 100 meters women's race at the Olympics by about 50 yards. I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Wait, it gets even better. In one interview, Piers delivered what might go down as one of the most jaw-dropping moments in modern debate. In the middle of a heated clash over identity politics, Piers, at his sharpest, dropped the line, Why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
I identify as a black lesbian.
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I on International Women's Day say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status.
Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian? Piers asked, dead serious. If I can claim to be anything I want, without any proof or reality backing it up, then why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, a black lesbian? By taking the argument to its most absurd extreme, he exposed the logical collapse behind the whole.
This has become a big thing, right? Along with the question, what is a woman? There's now a big debate where British political leaders have been asked about whether a woman can have a penis, given varying answers. The British Prime Minister says no. The Labour leader says 99% of women do.
And yes, he was completely serious. The moment that question hit the airwaves, you could practically hear the collective gasp from the woke brigade. His opponent left utterly speechless.
The people who it seems to me have really suffered in all this are the 6 dwarf actors who would have expected to have roles in this remake in a massive Hollywood blockbuster, who are now not going to have that experience, or the money, or the fame that may have come with that. What is your response to that?
Think about it. If identity is purely subjective, if anyone can claim to be anything without a shred of verification or standard, where does it end? Piers wasn't mocking people who face genuine struggles with identity. In fact, he's been clear about respecting those who go through a legitimate transition. What he can't respect is someone waking up one day, declaring themselves something else entirely, and then demanding the rest of the world play along. That's not progress. That's a slippery slope. And Piers made sure everyone understood just how absurd it.
I agree with you. And the irony is that they profess, these progressives, to want to do this to protect you, right? They protect dwarf actors from being, somehow smeared. But you don't feel that way at all.
Peter Dinklage spoke up about this, and that was my issue. He had in the past no issue cashing checks that were made for dwarf roles like Elf and all of that. Yes, he blew away the barriers when he did his roles that weren't necessarily made for a dwarf. But the Elf role was made for a dwarf. That check cleared just fine. So now that he's gone and done that, the progression of dwarf actors, it just doesn't.
And while we're on the subject of absurdity, let's talk about Hollywood. Because if there's one thing that town does better than making movies, it's hypocrisy. No industry loves preaching to the rest of us more than Tinseltown. They'll tell you to save the planet in one breath, then hop on a private jet in the next. Piers tore into this hypocrisy, with the Met Gala as his Exhibit A. Stars paraded down the carpet in million-dollar outfits, fresh off their gas-guzzling flights, while lecturers